My name is Stephanie Wills, and this is EDL 854, Module 12, Case Study, The Budget Debacle. Section 1, Summarize the Case. The principal, Carl Santos, at Briardale Elementary School has a new parent in the position of president of the Briardale Foundation. The Briardale Foundation raises funds to support the funding of supplementary curriculum programs. The foundation makes recommendations to the principal on how the funds should be used, and then the principal shares them with the school site curriculum committee led by a lead teacher of the school. Mr. Santos met with the new president of the foundation, Mr. Barely, to go over his role as president, his job as a fundraiser, and his responsibility to meet with the school site curriculum committee to go over any ideas that might influence the supplementary curriculum programs. There is a foundation for each elementary school in town, and there are 6 elementary schools. One of Mr. Barely's former fraternity brothers from Harvard is the president of one of the other foundations. Mr. Barely enjoys the competition and challenge of competing with his former classmate and decides to come up with a unique idea to raise money. He came up with the idea of selling raffle tickets in exchange for a chance to win cash. Mr. Barely shared his strategy with the foundation, and they sold tickets. Everyone was excited on the night of the raffle drawing that was held at Briardale Elementary School because it was anticipated to be one of the most successful fundraisers in Briardale history. However, someone in the community had tipped off the local sheriff and informed them of a raffle for cash event at Briardale. The sheriff arrived, and Mr. Barely was accompanied to the local sheriff's station, where he was booked and released. Later that week, Mr. Barely was convicted of a misdemeanor and placed on probation for his role in the raffle for cash event. The principal, Mr. Santos, was embarrassed, and the story ended up on the front page of the local newspaper and left an unforgettable impression on the Briardale Foundation. Section 2, Legal or Ethical Issues. Are there legal or ethical issues in this case? Yes, both. The legal issues would be the foundation president and the school principal did not look into what was needed to do a raffle, which included a raffle license. Ethical issues, first of all, someone was trying to keep the Briardale Foundation from raising money. Another ethical issue is now, because of the involvement with the illegal raffle, the school and foundation may be looked down upon. The school and students missed the opportunity for school improvement and student development, and Mr. Barely's reputation is ruined, and he now has a record. Section 3, Synthesize exactly what happened. The Briardale Foundation overlooked the policies and laws for having a raffle to raise money for their students, which ended with the foundation president being convicted of a misdemeanor and the students missing out on the funds. Section 4, the facts. So let's look at the people. First of all, who was involved in this case? Carl Santos, the principal at Briardale Elementary School, the teachers, the students, Mr. Barely, the foundation president at Briardale Elementary School, Mr. Morley, the foundation president at one of the other elementary schools, police officers, and community members. Where did this take place? It took place at Briardale Elementary School during the fundraiser for Briardale Elementary. What programs were involved? Briardale Elementary School was involved, which is one of the 6 elementary schools in the community. This elementary school goes from kindergarten to 5th grade. There are also 2 middle schools and a high school in the community. And the Briardale Foundation was the program that was doing the fundraising. Section 5. Review and prioritize the information. Could the situation be damaging to the stakeholders? Yes. There are legal issues and damaging characters to all there is involved. Could definitely damage those. What group or individuals have an important stake in the outcomes? There's many people that have important stakes in the outcomes. The principal, the school board, the teachers, the students, the community members, the parents. The funds and fundraising are important for schools, and how they use that is really important for the students. So the outcome of this, if they're not able to get those funds, could be devastating. Have the stakeholders been consulted? The principal has been notified, but not sure about the other stakeholders. Can I learn more about this situation? Yes. There are a couple things that I would still have questions about. Did the president of the foundation share this information with the school site curriculum committee, like he was informed to do when the principal was going over his roles as the new president of the foundation? The next thing I would like to know is, did the principal share with the superintendent and board the foundation's plan of selling the raffle tickets? Was that ever mentioned to either the superintendent or the school board? Do I know enough to make a decision? Yes, I feel like I do know enough to make a decision and to continue on into looking into possible solutions. Section 6, identify your options and possible consequences. Option number 1, take no action. The school does not acknowledge the situation or involvement in the raffle. Option number 2, cut ties with Mr. Barely and discontinue the foundation. Option number 3, address the issue, consult legal counsel, consult the school board, and develop better policies for the foundation. Section 7, evaluate your options. Option number 1, take no action. School does not acknowledge the situation or involvement in the raffle. Pros of this. There's no connection to the raffle or wrongdoing for the school because we walk away from everything. The cons of doing this is poor leadership. It hurts relationships with the districts, the teachers, the students, the community, and questionable ethical practices. Option number 2, cut ties with Mr. Barely and discontinue the foundation. The pros of doing this is I've made a decision, the principal has made a decision, and don't have to put in the work into fixing the situation. And the cons of doing this are it ruins relationships, loss of respect, gain no new policies, and school improvement and student development could be hurt. Option number 3, address the issue, consult legal counsel, consult the school board, develop better policies for the foundations. And the pros of option number 3, respect gained, relationships saved, taking responsibility, supporting school improvement and student development, and new policies and procedures could be developed and gained. The cons of option number 3 would be the school is associated with the fundraising conflict. Section 8, choose the best option. As I am looking at all of the options and thinking about all the stakeholders, I feel like the best option would be option number 3. Address the issue, consult legal counsel, consult the school board, and develop better policies for the foundation. This may include, but is not limited to, addressing the issues, showing that the school is taking responsibility, contacting legal counsel to see how things need to be done as we proceed, contacting school board to inform them about the situation, and beginning to develop policies with stakeholders to address situations like this so they don't happen again in the future. Section number 9, implementing my decision. So choose my path. What is going to happen next? First thing I think I need to do is get a hold of the stakeholders, the school board, the legal counsel, and the teachers and community, and let them know what happened. Second, an apology needs to be made, I believe, to the school, the community, the foundation, and to Mr. Barely, explaining that there was no intent or foul play intended, and that we were really working hard to find fund and doing some fundraising for the community and the school. Next, I need to develop and advocate for data-informed and equitable resources for all the schools in the district. And I think this also goes in with number 3, the third one, developing policies and procedures for all of the foundations. I think that there needs to be some more guidelines and policies for all of the schools so they are all treated equally equitable and following the same procedures for everyone and everything that they're doing. Next, I would continue to evaluate and develop onboarding for foundation members. Sorry, my lights just went out in my office and I have to, there we go. I have to move a little bit to get them back on. I would continue to develop and evaluate onboarding for foundation members, which would be going over the policies, the laws, what they can do for fundraising, who they need to be talking to, who they need to be visiting with before they start any of the fundraising. So really having something really formal in place for that. Then have the foundation members, teachers, and all partners sign that policy and have it also explain the consequences of the misuse of funds or doing fundraisers that are not allowable, and having everyone sign that so they know exactly what's expected of them. And last, develop checks and balances with partnerships within the school to evaluate the resources and make sure that there's more than one person doing the fundraising, looking at the money, keeping track of all those things, so that at least two people are doing those things, so you kind of have a checks and balance system going on. How will the consequences be managed? So foundation members, teachers, and partners, I think, will sign the policy that explains the misuse. So I think that helps a little bit and helps them understand what is expected of them and what can happen if the guidelines aren't followed. I believe if misuse is discovered, consequences may include restitution, probation, resignation. So choose a plan B. What am I going to do if this plan doesn't work? I think the first thing you do is contact the stakeholders, explain what you've already done, explain what's happening, and then start brainstorming and coming up with new strategies, evaluating and develop resources that the school improvement and could help with school improvement and student development. And I think you do this a lot with a lot of the fundraising and things in the school. If you have a plan A, sometimes it doesn't work. You have to rethink things, reorganize, look into data, and come up with some new ideas, and you need to be flexible with that. So it's super important to be able to do all of that. Reflection. As I'm thinking about this assignment and the assignments that we've had for this class, it's been extremely helpful in learning about school finances. As a coordinator, it's my responsibility to understand laws, regulations and policies about funding and research information about funding so I can make the best decisions for school improvement and student development. And it's important to make decisions that are equitable, anti-bias, and promote inclusion while focusing on finances. I have had the opportunity to start working on revising many financial policies in our handbook at RCDC. It is so important for me to learn about my budget, how it works, and which funds can be used with which account. It's also important for me to learn how I can make that information available to everyone in the most equitable, non-biased way. Thank you for listening to my presentation.